The Say Something podcast is brought to you by amomentwithmorris.com and blackblueprints.com. That's blackblueprints with a Z.com. I am Jermaine Morris here with the one and only Mr. Barry Accius.
Peace and blessings, family.
We are bringing you the Say Something podcast.
Say something, say something, say something.
That's right, with myself and Barry talk about everything going on in the life and the world on this crazy planet, all up in these streets.
In these streets, oh yeah.
Going falsetto.
Man, gotta flip it up on you cats.
That's it. Bringing you episode 41.
Come on, I'm waiting for it.
I got it. Bringing you that Keith Byers.
So now you going football.
We all over the place. We ain't pigeonhole. We ain't pigeonhole.
Did the Yankees play today?
Yes, they did, and they won. So they won. They won the wild
card.
So
they're now 13-2 against the Minnesota Twins all time.
Something like that. I'm not sure,
but it was 12-2. Now they're 13.
But they didn't taking that wild card. We showing love to. You remember Keith Byers?
Yeah, Keith Byers from Philadelphia Eagles.
That's right.
I used to watch football heavy like that.
If you don't know about Keith Byers, this was an unsung hero, and he played on that '92 squad with Randall Cunningham, Herschel Walker, Heath Sherman, Reggie White, Mike Golick, Seth Joyner, Eric Allen, was it Calvin Williams, Fred Barnett?
To a Philadelphia?
Because I'm a Chicago Bears fan, and prior to Randall Cunningham, Jim McMahon was the quarterback.
Great team that never won a Super Bowl.
You know, it happens. I got on board with Philly when Jim McMahon was a quarterback, and then I kind of paid attention to him since he came out of Chicago, and then a lot of those pieces were in place defensively, Reggie White and some of those guys. And then when they made the shift over, and Keith Byers was a fullback / tight end, like he could block and catch like a tight end, and he had feet like a running back. He was like 6'1", 240, quick feet, big blocking body. But when they added Herschel, when they brought Herschel Walker over, and Randall. And just that squad. So, I mean, I was always a Bears fan first, but giving his props. Give a little prop wherever he at in the world out there. Give a little prop, one time to Keith Byers.
Keith Byers. That's that's a blast from the past for real.
Yeah, we got some of these numbers that are obvious, but sometimes we got to go to the unsung heroes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
The folks that don't necessarily get a lot of shine. A particular group that was getting some shine that I wanted to address first before we don't get kind of deep today. A lot of stuff going on.
Ain't we always deep?
In these crazy streets. But the start off is not so deep. That's what it says. So to say we're going to get deeper. About this past weekend, about the slut walk. You familiar with that? The Amber Rose slut walk?
Yeah, that dumb shit.
But there's a reason why I'm bringing it up. If you're not familiar, Amber Rose... Wiz Khalifa's baby mama, Kanye's ex, probably a host of other miscellaneous rappers, one night stands.
The 21 Savage's chick now, right?
Yes. So this was her third annual slut walk. And the premise, it comes from an event that took place in Canada is where it started, where it's women who feel, in their opinion, empowered to say that slut shaming is wrong. That a woman shouldn't be judged by her sexual activities, by the clothes she wears, or how she carries herself that way.
Yeah.
Like she should be able to sleep with whoever she wants, whenever she wants, however she wants, if she's a grown-ass woman. And so the slut walk is a bunch of women who all come out in March and kind of just say, hey, what I do behind closed doors is my business. How I dress is my business. I'm not going to take these labels that, the male society tries to put on women. Whatever. And why I thought that this was significant. Two things. One, it's a damn shame what she did to 21 Savage.
What she did on?
I don't know if have you seen the boy lately?
I don't pay attention to none of these.
No, I mean,
he's
just if you see them.
Negroes,
but there was a picture of him where he's sitting next to her, and she's holding a sign that says "Captain Save a Hoe," is what Amber Rose is holding. Got 21 Savage holding a sign that says "I'm a hoe too."
Wow.
And she's sitting next to him, and if it wasn't a scene from Get Out, like he looked like he was in that sunken place for real.
Wow.
But what I was looking at is as So there's this, it's always this statement that there's a double standard, that a man can go out and sleep with whoever he wants to.
True.
And that if a woman goes out and does a third of the activity that he does, she's a slut, she's a hoe, she's all these negative derogatory things.
Yeah.
So now, is that double standard that's used socially / borderline oppression, is that in women's best interest? Like, do we shame, quote unquote, shame women for what they do to save them from themselves? Like, if I'm gonna ridicule you for behaving a certain way so you don't do it, so your reputation doesn't get ruined, so your name in the streets isn't horrible, not only for you, but for whatever man that ends up with you. You know what I mean?
So we are going to start our show.
There's a reason why. So, yes.
With Amber fucking Rose.
Yes. Because it's relevant.
I can't wait to see the relevance in it.
Yeah.
Now, you're asking me the double standards.
Yeah. The double standard that in this society that men place on women. Like, you ain't supposed to move like we move. Don't do what we do.
Well,
those standards, you know what I mean?
I feel like that whole piece goes into a situation that, and I've asked several different women, there have been a lot of women who've been bisexual that they flirt around with that. After they're done experimenting, flirting around with it, they go back to heterosexual, being with the opposite sex, and they leave that whole situation to the background, and here they are, women that love men again when they just were kissing and going down on another woman. Now, if a man does that, they're going to always be
gay forever
and a dick sucker.
Yeah.
So, since we can't, and though men have done it, and a few have been accepted, I think more of a celebrity status, not just a regular Joe Negro.
Yeah.
I think that because that standard is, if I did that, I would never be able to hear the end of that, and I would always be looked at as that guy that was giving head, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to that women and the whole slut shaming thing, like, you don't want your woman to be a hoe, and if she was, you don't want to know about it. Okay. So I don't think that, women, I guess they want to go back and forth about, hey, if men can be sexual like this and have multiple partners, we could do it. It's really not going to work like that. It's just like, it can't work for us as men to go in there and I'm gay and tomorrow I'm back to, dealing with women.
Yeah.
That same piece, it will never be something, no matter how many slut walks or how many times women try to pretend they can do certain things like men. I think in our society, we as men and even women will always look at it like, I rather have my freaky deaky woman a freak behind closed door than spreading it around, or knowing what my woman used to do in the past is something that I don't really need to know too much.
Okay, so with that, removing it from being your individual woman, because no woman wants her dude to have been with every woman she knows any more than a man wants his woman to have been with everybody. So if it's not your particular woman, because what I look at is that I hear a lot of times the standard that is put on women is, like I said, it's for your own good. Like, you don't want to be out here and get this kind of reputation because the way men see women with those reputations, you don't want to be that girl.
Yeah.
So we're going to treat you differently if you kind of get out of character to stop you from doing it. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, are we okay with doing that across the board, that mentality? Because what I'm looking at is where I was going, why I say it's relevant, is because I think as a society, as more specifically men, and there's a percentage of women that are on board, we're okay with doing it that way. Like, the whole reason why there's a slut walk is because there's a lot of women who are trying to fight these social norms that tell women how they're supposed to behave. But the old way of looking at women is, no, you're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be, lady in the streets, freaking the sheets. You ain't supposed to be walking up and down the street dressed any old kind of way, showing off all your stuff to every stranger, letting everybody know what that mouth do. So we're going to put these social restraints and this social shaming on you, so you kind of walk the straight and narrow so you can find a better man, or a better man will take you seriously, and you can get married and have a family and have a better life. Yeah. Like, we're going to put these degrees of boundaries on you. We're going to save you from yourself. That's a thought process that we seem to embrace in that respect. Would you agree?
I mean, to be honest with you, I look at it like, no matter what type of spin that you're going to put on it, personally, you can't promote something that is just negative and create it into something positive just because men have their way. It's just a simple, basic bottom line. I don't know how to spin it any other way. We can't come back from being gay, being straight. And a lot of this slut walk, this is my right to do whatever you want to. It's your right.
Yeah.
It's your right. But you're still going to be a slut. You're still going to be considered a hoe. So that's it. I mean, honestly, I think it's hilarious to me. Even women that start trying to, and it's every woman doing these D challenges. I was just talking to a person and asking me, what do you think about it? I said, I don't think about it. I don't care about it. Certain things I don't even pay attention to because it just doesn't, first of all, it doesn't make sense. It's a joke. It's a way to grab attention. And whatever Amber does to keep the lights, this little small spotlight that she has, it's slowly falling to nightfall, she will do. And this is what she has to do to keep it going, keep it pumping. I don't really believe it's some movement that she's really trying to get people to participate and take seriously. I just think that it's another angle for her to draw her celebrity web. I think it's a joke. All the whole shit.
Okay.
A woman knows how we as men, it's just society.
Yeah.
You can have your moments, because we all have, but to promote it, to think that you're going to be treated like some of these women that you may see on TV, a little bit different. A lot of these women, you got to remember, they can have multiple situations going on, because a lot of these people are well off. They're rich. You know what I mean? You can have the Kardashians date whoever the hell they want to date over and over and over again. And people will still look at them and like, yeah, they're this, but then they're rich. I mean, the average woman, no one's going to want to have her. No one's going to want to touch her. Okay, let's look at this. Would you date a woman, and I had a woman that I dated that told me I was number 48. And this was when I was like 19 or 20 years old.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I
you know what I'm saying?
You're like, I'm cool.
Yeah. I still hit, but I'm just saying. I don't know when. I think she said it after when we was in the shower.
Yeah, I think that would mess with my head.
Yeah,
and not even like on an insecurity level of comparing to other men. Yeah. Well, no, I say that because there's some women who think that men are intimidated by their number because they think of, you can compare it to all these other men. Nah, just in their head, kind of, you just think that's nasty.
Yeah, I mean, what am I going to do with her? You're gonna have fun, but after that, not. Contrary to what women always think, that we just want to just, fucking get up. That's not really the particular session on a lot of us.
No, we'll settle for that.
If we have to.
But that's not.
That's not always like the play. But when someone tells you 48, you could have been all in. Like, yo, could be the one. And she tells you that shit. You're like, well, I'm gonna have my fun.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
You'd be like, yeah.
What can you compete with? 48, 19 and 20 years old, yo. So think about it now. Like what number she could be on.
Okay, well, so I used to always call it hoe economics.
Hoe economics.
Shout out to my late great Uncle James, because I got the
hoe economics. I want to hear this shit.
So his thing was, this was the definitive way if you are a hoe or not. Like, because there's always the question, what's the number? What's too many? What's all that? And my late great Uncle James Hanna, his definitive math was dicks over birthdays. So if your number of sexual partners exceeds your numbers of years on this planet, So if you're 20 and you've been with more than 20 people,
that's crazy.
You a hoe. Definitively. Like, we're not even gray. It doesn't matter how close they were together. It doesn't matter if it was in the same town, if you was on vacation. Because the average person loses their virginity at about 16.
Yeah.
Which means you have a 16 number curve before you can get to a 1-to-1 ratio. Mm-hmm. That means if you're 20 and you've been with 20 people, on average, that's about 4 or 5 years that you was doing like 5 people per year.
Man.
That's like somebody every 6 weeks.
Man.
Like, for you to get to that curve.
Yeah.
By all intents and purposes, that's a hoe. So if somebody's 35 and they've been with over 35 people, you a hoe. You can slice that up any way you want to. There's some people who have to sit the bench for a few years and have a few birthdays just to get square with the house.
For real.
Just to get their numbers right.
Straight up.
But the reason why I asked and why I was looking at that is because I kept hearing the narrative that not necessarily Amber Rose, like I said, this thing didn't start with her. She's just the most famous face attached to it, and she's campaigning for it in America. Okay. Like I said, but it started in Toronto. And they have them globally. It's not just here in LA where they do these. And so the narrative was always was set that, like I said, that men were dictating women's behavior because it's in a woman's best interest. Like, there's a double standard that favors women. If you go across the board, it's why if a man and a woman are upstairs and they hear breaking glass downstairs, she's the one in the closet calling 911. He's going downstairs to investigate the sound.
Yeah.
You know, when you walk on the side of the road, he's supposed to walk closest to traffic. So if anybody gets hit, it's him. Mm-hmm. You know, the two of you are walking hand in hand, and all of a sudden you see a pit bull turn the corner and it's foaming at the mouth. He's to put her behind him. And if anyone's getting bit first, it's him. That's all part of the double standard. There's no reason why he should get bit before her. Yeah. There's no reason why he deserves to get hit by a car instead of her. Or that she's not very well capable of going down to see what that noise was. But all these things are incorporated into the double standard of male and female behavior. Well, what I was looking at is that, okay, we have all these narratives and degrees. I mean, it's borderline oppression of when you start talking to dictate somebody's behavior and try to shame them into being a certain way. Yeah. That if we're saying that we're okay with that as a whole, because as a society, for the most part, we are, as doing that in somebody's best interest, how far are we willing to carry that? Because where we're at now, it leads me into the tragedy we had in Las Vegas and why this is relevant, and they tie together. They do. Follow with me.
So if you would have told me that you was going to go from Amber Rose slut walk to Las Vegas shooting, I would have probably told you, man, I think you should do the show by yourself.
But the principle, and this is why I'm gonna ask. This is the question I asked. So
I hope people are really tuned in and locked in and understand where my crazy friend Jermaine is taking.
You will hear where I'm going with this, and it will be clearer than it sounds.
Now, please, I need y'all to really, really focus. My brother's gonna really break it down because I would have never, even if it clearly made sense, from slut walk to shooting, and people thought that I was insensitive and crazy for some of my things I said about the shooting. But go ahead, I'm waiting.
So
I trust you, my brother.
And this to jump off is not even at this stage, not even going deep into the details of the shooting.
You said deep.
No. I said details of the shooting.
Okay, but you said deep
earlier. We still going deep. Okay. We still going deep. Don't worry, I got you.
You got me. You
I got this.
Folks that's listening, I got about to tune us out after this shit.
No. We ain't gonna set it up like that. If we're okay with the idea of dictating a certain degree of behavior or stopping a certain behavior because the mentality is it's to save that person from themselves. I'm going to stop you from doing this because it is in your best interest. Do we carry that? Are we okay with accepting that when it pertains to safety? Because after you have the shooting that was in Las Vegas, as well as the dozens of other shootings that have happened over the last, we'll call it decade, mass shootings across the United States of America, where the Orlando nightclub shooting, you get the one at Killeen, one at Fort Hood, You go across the board, multiple shootings across America.
Charlotte's, South Carolina.
South Carolina. You can go to the Batman movie theater shooting in Colorado. You can. I mean, we've got at this stage we've got more than enough points of reference. All this stuff. We got more than enough points of reference to go for mass shootings in the United States. Are we okay with our behavior being curbed in our own best interest? So if all of a sudden policy gets put down to limit your gun purchases, policy comes in to start give up some more of your civil liberties, give up some more of what you are accustomed to, give up some of the things that you are used to doing in your own best interest. Are we okay on that same narrative? Because there's a lot of things. Because the first thing, whenever there's a tragedy, this is the way that America works. It's a principle called fear safe. It's the basis for advertising. It's what moves the market. Yeah. Fear safe. You create the fear, and then you come with the solution. That's why if you watch a commercial for carpet care, oh man, I spilled juice on the carpet. What am I gonna do? Oh, we use this handy carpet cleaner. It gets the stain right out. We create the fear, then we create the safe. Yeah. So whenever there's a tragedy, there's the fear. So now if policy change is the safe, if we're okay with dictating people's behavior socially, are we okay with behavior being dictated politically? Uncle Sam wants to come through and tell you how to live in your best interest. We want to start removing this here. Wow. We want to start doing that there. Because we've proven in your neighborhood, these problems keep occurring. So to save you from yourself, we're going to start removing this stuff here.
Well, that's the American way. I mean, the American way has always been that. Terrorize, creating terrorists, then at the same time initiating a plan to solve the problems that a lot of it has been created by those who want to now change the narrative. So when you look at 9/11, I mean, that's a perfect example how everything changed from that. 9/11 created so much fear and ultimately had us not even paying attention to the narrative that was being created about the election and how we talk about the Donald Trump and the Russian conspiracy with the election in 2016. Our reality is we was dealing with that in 2000.
We shifted right out of that with the Florida hanging Chad situation.
The whole the ballots with his Bush's brother being the Florida. I don't know if he was a Florida governor, or mayor. It was a governor, right? Yeah. And that came to bite him in the ass for the presidency because it was like, no, we're not going to have that again. But ultimately, going to war, having 9/11, it changed everything. It changed so many different policies where now legally the feds could go tap in. So it was like they was already tapped in programming and doing what they was doing on our phones. Now it's like, no, you got the permission. So it was just all these different things. You could not go in an airport without being strip searched. And then that fact is where now we can't bring in water. So we get taxed with water and other things at an alarming rate that $1 water on the outside comes into be $6, $5
at the airport.
In the airport, right? So the reality that you're setting up, I really still wouldn't, connected the Amber Ralston. But what you're making is a great point. At the end of the day, the unfortunate thing, what's going to come out of this is going to be some real rule changing that's going to affect a lot of Americans. And right now, they don't understand how and what, because everybody's in this fear, everybody's in this emotion. We're not thinking straight. Well, some of us aren't. And they just want something to, quote unquote, stop the bleeding. Yeah. But understand the only way this bleeding stops is capitalism stops, if white supremacy stops, because there's a chain reaction to all this. There's a reason why. People, first of all, these folks who are doing any of these things are mentally ill. Not giving them the excuse, but they're mentally ill. Yeah. So there's no treatment. And when you look at overall, the way the system works, it will push anyone over the edge, right? White, black, Latino, Indian, whoever. Yeah. It will push you over the edge because there's so much propaganda, there's so much lie. There's lies on top of lies on top of lies. You don't really know the truth. And with you knowing that if my life ain't shit and I want to make a statement, I could do something like that for one time or maybe a week or whatever, a month. I'll be talked about forever. I'm going to do something. But in this shooting, with all the things that are going to change from this, it's unfortunate that we don't look at the bigger scope and challenge and say, yeah, that happened, but that was isolated, right? That's an isolated thing. We don't need to all have to pay the piper for that shit.
Yeah, because so something that's important, tying that into 9/11. So they have all these different changes for airport security, and flying on airlines changed after the issue of 9/11. But the people who were involved on the terrorist side of the game, they didn't break any laws. Everything, the box cutters, all that stuff was legal at the time. So that's why they were like, well, how come people didn't notice this or notice that? Because they worked within this current system. As to now, the shooter that was in Las Vegas, all the ammunition they found, all the firearms, all the modified guns, all that stuff, he purchased everything was registered and purchased legally. Like this isn't like a across the border and got a bunch of unmarked, serial number filed off, miscellaneous guns, and everything was registered. They said that he passed the background check like 60 something times to purchase all these firearms. Like he passed it, cleared it every single time. And the laws there in Nevada is if you purchase 2 firearms within a 5-day time period, you get flagged by the ATF.
He wasn't flagged?
No. Well, here's the other side of that law. If you purchase two handguns, you hit it. But there's no flagging for rifles or shotguns. So you could purchase 20 assault rifles and there's no flag. You purchase 2 pistols and they flag you to the ATF. So all the ammunition he was finding, there was 23 weapons in his room. They found another 19 at his house. All the rounds, all that stuff were all purchased legally within the system. So it's not a question of somebody
doing something illegal
or shady. So now you have to look at, okay, we gave you these privileges, because a lot of stuff we confuse rights with privileges and civil liberties. We allowed you to do this,
and you still fucked us over.
And so you screwed us by staying within the lines.
Yeah.
So when we trust you to stay within the lines, you're able to do this, that, and the third. So either we need to change the lines, because for some of you that can't be trusted, who won't act right, but the premise we're going to use is to save all the other people for the people that are acting shady in the line. So when policy comes down and they want to make changes in neighborhoods, and say if it's not even on that grand a scale as the Las Vegas shooting, when you have crime in your neighborhood, and they want to do the militarization of the local police department in your area, and come through like SWAT to do a warrant for parking tickets. You know what I'm saying? Like when they want to come down heavy and really start proving points and really start sending messages and really start doing stuff, then what?
I think it's about to get crazy, man. It's going to get to the point where we're going to literally have to walk into places that we never had to worry about being searched, having metal detectors, right, in grocery stores. Right? We're going to have a metal detector in a grocery store, the hospital, grocery. It's just, I think the way I see it right now, the effect of what this was in Vegas is truly going to take away those who are not even involved. We're going to get paid with the bigger price, especially black folk. I look at it, this is not going to be good for us, because most white folks probably already got the weapons they need, right? We got to get our shit on the streets, Now there's going to be more of a strenuous process to get these kind of firearms, right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to go to more of the black market because we can't get it the proper way, because as you said, the man went through and the funny thing about it is how they're reporting that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay,
he was a nice guy. He enjoyed fishing and long walks
but
in the
they're
park.
all going to break down all of how he got weapons. That to me is odd. Like, wow, that's interesting. Now you're talking about, well, he did everything right to get the guns. what is it? Why does that even matter in the story?
Yeah.
It just should be focused on
what
right
he did
now,
with
the
them.
victims and what he did with them, right?
Yeah.
But they're going and speaking on that. So in that sense, that you know something's about to happen.
You've dotted the I's and crossed the T's on this man's history.
You've broken down how he got the weapons, so someone is listening, and they're going to go on their soapbox and say, this is why we have to have tougher regulations on A, B, and C.
And I'm glad you said that, because we actually had a conversation a few weeks back.
About the guns, about the bullets.
Yes. And so for some people who don't know, depending upon what state you live in, after December 31st, the way you purchase ammunition will change. We're here in California, so it will hit us here after December 31st.
So we got to hurry and get our
pretty much
now.
So January 1st comes, you're going to have to document you purchasing ammunition like when you buy a firearm. Certain counties already do it, but it will be a statewide thing. But if you don't own a gun or don't ever purchase a gun, you may not be familiar. But if you do, you know the process. You could go in there and buy a couple of boxes of something, some shotgun shells, some 9mm, whatever. Make your purchase and go home. Now it's going to be, they need to document what you purchased, how much ammunition you're buying, where you bought it from.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to have a running documentation of how frequently you purchase, how much, if you buy it in bulk, and much like if two firearms in 5 days in Nevada is a flag, over a certain number of rounds is going to start getting flagged. Like if I bought 500 rounds today, and then I went and bought 1,000 rounds tomorrow. Then I bought another 5. Now you're flagged in the system.
Yeah.
Like they want to know, what are you doing with this ammunition? And so that's the beginning. Well, it's not even the beginning. They've already been putting that in place when it comes to purchasing guns. But there's on the conspiracy theory side of the game, there are those people who are saying that this is to cement. Like, so now when you have an issue like this will cement that campaign that has been losing a little bit of energy going into the end of the year. Because it's starting to meet with resistance about people who want to be able to purchase rounds for whatever reason they want.
Yeah.
It wasn't ever against the law to own bullets. Like I'm not even looking to buy a gun. You getting me for buying rounds. And they were meeting a little bit of resistance. But now with that fear safe.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, have we documented how many rounds he purchased? Yeah. Maybe if we'd have flagged him earlier, we could have prevented this situation.
Exactly. Everything is about what we could have prevented. Now basing it on this situation. So you're going to have tougher gun laws. You're going to not only have tougher gun laws, you're going to have tougher laws on just getting the bullets.
Yes. So all this stuff ties into even a big
people got to
picture.
remember, tougher gun laws is different than having tougher bullet laws.
Yes. Yes.
Two different things, two different scenarios. You don't just get tougher gun laws and then think the bullets fall into that. It's two different categories.
Yeah, and where this is going is because there's a grand scheme picture where a lot of people are starting to worry about the taking away your civil liberties. So a good example are registered sex offenders. So all the stuff ties together. So if you ever committed a crime, just stay with me.
I guess I'm staying.
Stay with me. So if you ever committed a crime as a sex offender, you're registered forever, because the premise is that we need to know where you are. Like we need to make sure that we can keep tabs of you wherever you move to. There's the idea that's starting to get kicked around of being registered for different crimes under the same premise of public safety, protecting the other people, this fear safe thing, the mandatory DNA collection, get you in the DNA database. Well, if you're not committing crimes, it shouldn't matter if you give your saliva when we arrest you. And when we get your fingerprints, now we do the swab of your mouth and get everything. If you're not out there doing anything, what difference does it make?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Putting you in the database early shouldn't matter unless you're a criminal.
And and that's why folks gotta start paying attention to this shit.
Because this is the narrative that's moving. The needle is moving about for your public safety. Yeah. We're gonna start curbing your behavior. We're gonna start looking at what you have access to. We're gonna start saying this behavior, we don't like that. We're gonna save you from yourself.
Save you from yourself.
So now when we think, and that's why I tied it into the Amber Rose thing, we are used to doing this already.
Yeah.
We're already used to curbing people's behavior and telling them what we believe is socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. How far do you think we are from all those things being socially acceptable?
I never thought a day in my life, and this is totally off the subject as well, that I would be paying 10 cents for a bag for my groceries, right?
Yeah.
I never thought a day in my life when I was a young kid that I would have to pay for water.
Yeah.
Right?
As a kid, you're
drinking water.
You drink from the hose outside. Y'all playing as a kid.
Water fountains everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Pour, get the water from, the sink, put it in a jug, and you get to going.
Yeah.
And it's become a $1 trillion business. So these things that I never thought would happen. Never in my day did I honestly ever think that we would have a joke of a millionaire become a president. You know what I'm saying? I never thought.
Reality star.
Yeah, a reality star, that a guy that was an entertainer pretty much. Become the president of the United States. But at the same time, never in my day did I think that we was going to have a black president as well. So all these things that are happening. Never in my day did I think I would witness in my lifetime two towers falling from allegedly some airplanes hitting them. Yeah. Right. So as this is going on, why not, right? Why not this be the next thing? Because it's already been flirted with already.
Yeah.
The DNA thing. It's already been, we've heard that, the chips. We've heard these things. And so many of these things, even when you used to dream up or think about technology like, whoa, damn, it'd be great if computers could do this or video games could do that.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it.
Yeah.
Because it was written on the wall, but it wasn't our time, and now it's our time. I just see that because of, again, the temperatures are high. In order for something to change, there has to be something that is so shocking. And all I hear is replaying. This is the worst shooting on U.S.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've heard
that's what you heard, but it's not true. But yes,
it's not reality.
Yeah, but that's what's heard.
In these times, I've even had some of my soldiers who are supposed to be really with it asking and questioning me, because I have a different lens of looking at this, saying, do I not feel? And of course I feel for the people that lost their lives. I'm not inhuman. I have feelings and emotions, but I do understand that there's a bigger play to this as well.
Yeah.
Right? And at the same particular time, had it have been a whole bunch of black folks massacred, not saying that there wasn't any black folks in attendance. Don't know too many black folks that attended country music festival, but they are a few.
Hey, Darius Rucker is serious in the country.
Okay, I understand. They are a few.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But what I'm saying, a majority white, because all I've seen is white victims.
No, I know what you're saying.
Right? No one cares about our anguish. No one cares about our pain. Even in the shooting of the 9 in South Carolina with Dylan Roof.
Yeah.
Dylan Roof got a burger and drove without incident to the police station, while we talked about the 9 folks that got killed for 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't even think that we called it an act of terrorism or white supremacy.
Yeah.
And we moved on with our day. So something like this in Vegas.
Yeah.
Remember where it's at. Vegas, not in Sandy Hooks, not in some, Colorado school ain't nobody heard of. But here in Vegas, a major tourist attraction, it resonates like a 9/11. New York, the towers falling down. This right here is going to set so much precedence down the line on what is and what will be with not only the gun law, obtaining the ammunition, and at the same time, how we are now going to even be policed even more in these places that you really can't control the level of attendance, because there's so many people coming in tourism, right? But they're going to have to put some pressure, because again, it also reminds me of the Boston marathon,
the bombing
over there.
Yeah,
there's going to be something that's going to change and it's going to change. It might not change quick, but I think the volumes of it changing were already in place. They just needed a major incident like this to be able to implement it a little bit faster.
Oh yeah, don't be surprised if stop and frisk comes to a county near you, where stop and frisk was something that was, you know, notorious for the NYPD, where they can just randomly stop you because it's Tuesday, you know, and see what you're holding. Don't need probable cause. Don't need you don't have to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just, hey, you in the hat.
Yeah.
And you better have ID and answer with some clear, concise, responses.
And people will be okay with that.
Yeah, because it's for your saving you from yourself.
Exactly, and but they're not understanding.
So we've already adapted where facial recognition software is in all your social media apps.
Shoot, it's in your phones.
Yeah. And you've got the new cell phones that you're giving your fingerprints and a retinal scan. Like you're giving it to the
and they sell it to you like it's such the new great thing. I don't care about that. I don't need to have my face. I don't even want my eyes or something to open up my phone. I don't know who the fuck I'm going to sit there and when they call in, who I'm going to pick it up. I'll just do it regularly how I usually do. I don't need that much.
And under the blanket of the Patriot Act, do you remember the Batman, the newer versions of them, the Christian Bale Batman?
Oh yeah, some of the best ones.
Yeah, where he used the cell phones to track down the Joker. Yeah. That's real.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Well, for some people that don't know, that under the Patriot Act is real.
Yeah.
So in the event of terrorist activity or a real assessed threat, your cell phone, the microphone on it, the camera, the GPS can all be remotely activated and used to ping to track down people to avoid a serious incident or to capture somebody who is deemed to be a very viable threat.
Yes.
Like these are the things that we have been, these civil liberties, these privileges, because they're not rights, these privileges that have been slowly taken away under the premise of this is for your own good and I'm saving you from yourself. As these things start to cinch down harder, when you start having to become a registered felon, not just a felon where it follows you when you have to fill out a job application, when you have to register as a felon.
That's going to be crazy.
When you have to submit DNA and trust that the system uses it correctly. That's the thing that everybody's worried about, those, not to knock this particular company, but like the Ancestry.com.
That's what I'm focused.
Where you submit your DNA in to track down whatever region that you're from. There's no law that protects the database from being sent over to the government.
And just the simple fact of when you got, Equifax that got hit.
Yeah.
And, things like that always happening.
Yeah, once you're in the system, you've now submitted your DNA to a third-party system, and you're trusting that they do the right thing with your information.
Yeah.
And
there's a lack of trust right now, totally in America.
It is
heavy.
I'm saying we're not strong on the trust department right now.
So it's like when you got a boastful president that talks about going to war and with North Korea, and then you have all these acts of hate, and then folks will talk about we're not going to be divided, and then folks like myself and you who speak truth to power, then they're like, well, you're dividing. How can I divide something that's already been divided? I'm not doing nothing but trying to tell y'all, well, here are the reasons why, and here are some of the remedies to get it right, but you don't want to listen to the remedies. So in a sense of what we do and how we do it, media likes to sensationalize things, and they love it. And why I know that because I've worked and I've done enough interviews, I've done enough articles that I've been misquoted. I didn't say that. Well, I said this, but they didn't put that.
Yeah.
With the media, from local media to just freelance, that I know how they move. They tell me how certain things they can report on, or certain things they want to report on, or oh well, I pitched it to my manager, he wasn't really feeling it. It's just they call me if they want to get some intense radical lingo. They'll hit me up.
Give me something I can use.
Yeah, but they won't call me when it's time to really be truthful on some things. They'll say they want to, but they don't really want that. So as the media plays the role of creating folks to be scared and in fear and not giving the right proper information because whatever the powers that be aren't giving the right proper information, whatever it is, the outcome of it all is not going to be good.
Yeah, there's a huge distrust between the public and we'll just call it the system, whether it be the judicial system, law enforcement system, the government as a whole. If you ask the average American, do you trust a lawyer? Most will say no. Do you trust a politician? No. Don't put a name to it. Don't put a political party. If you just say it in general, do you trust a politician? Hell no. Why? Because they lie to get what they want. Why don't you trust a lawyer? Because they lie to get what they want. Like that is the premise that is amongst this here great nation. And so when you're taught, like I said, through economics, through advertising, through all that stuff, you're taught base point, fear safe. Make somebody afraid and then show that you've got a remedy for what the fear is.
They've done that all the time. Like with laws, that's what they constantly do. They have a situation, law enforcement comes into it, government comes into it, and when the government's a politician, usually a politician that's running, saying we need to go get this because people are already in fear, and they got all these other principles, and then the advertising of it, then here we go.
Yep. So the question is not only to us, but to everybody out there, how okay are you really with curbing somebody else's behavior? Because we're really good about shaming people socially. We tell kids the way that they're dressed is inappropriate or wrong. You know, we tell dudes what is quote unquote manly or not. Man, you know, push up some. Do some push-ups. Like your behavior, your mannerisms, that's not manly. That's not what men do. Ladies, a true lady doesn't dress like that. A classy woman doesn't behave that way. And we try to curb the behaviors of people every day in our society. So is that more, are we doing it so it's being done to us, or do we do it because it's been done to us? Chicken and egg, you know, is that just how we get down?
I think that's just pretty much what society is. I mean, we're always going to try to
just
curb
controls.
Something. Yeah, I mean, we're always going to try to curb something that we don't know or we're indifferent with, right? I mean, think about the narratives that is coming out of this story right now.
Yeah.
Think about it. You know, the focus should be, yes, on those who got killed and the victims and how they're going to move on. But we're talking about tighter securities. We're having our Facebook investigators, our Twitter, FBI agents that are coming out the woodwork, and everyone's kind of creating their spin on what happened. So you have that. It creates more of this energy, and then you have a society that's going to dictate, because of one incident, all of these other things in principle because of this incident. From this incident, this is now what got to happen. So
Vegas airports,
hotels. Can you imagine that, bro? It's like, so when you, in a sense, you want folks to have the freedom and the will to do whatever they feel is correct in their life, but then in the same sense that you can't have people feeling unsafe. You can't have that.
Okay, so good question. So do people need to be saved from themselves? Because the narrative we've been talking about, like
some people do. Some people do. Some people really do. I honestly do. Some people really do. I think that, and I go and say, if I had right guidance besides my father, if I had, like, my father was already laying foundation and trying to say, hey, son, you need to be on this path.
Yeah.
I had individuals that were all as lost as me directed me somewhere else.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, the group of friends that I chose to hang out with were all athletes. Like, that's what we did. We didn't go stray away to marijuana. We had some girlfriends, but we wasn't addicted to just going out, partying, drinking, and having a bunch of girls. I would have probably been in a whole different situation.
Okay.
So in the saving sense, that I needed saving in that moment. I needed a coalition of individuals that were deemed, we're doing this. And did I have older guys? Yes. But they were just as reckless as I was. And it was, if not more. And I wanted to kind of get the advanced reckless. I was like low-level reckless. I want to be high-level reckless because it all looks
high risk, high reward.
Oh, my God, right? But who knows that until later in life.
Yeah.
So when I look at later in life, I believe a lot of these people that we see with our homeless situation that's totally out of control, that if we don't have things that can help save them, housing, employment, better treatment facilities to figure out whatever is going on, that would get some of these people off the street. We need sometimes a little bit of saving when we're behind on rent. Like, who do you go to when you ain't got no money to pay some rent, but you know the money's coming? Instead of going into a spot where they're going to give you triple the interest when you borrow some money.
Let me borrow this $500 and pay you back $15.
Exactly. So I feel like in society, there we do need saving, but let's look at overall and clear society as what it is right now currently. It's so messed up to where things that we usually would look at like, nah, that ain't cool, are things that now we celebrate and are winning. You talk about a slut walk, for the fact that we're talking about a slut walk.
Yeah.
A fact that we're talking about women taking a stance. Before it got that celebrity push from Amber Rose, because you said it has been going on.
It started in Toronto, yeah.
I never knew nothing about no goddamn slut walk. I would have never even known. Those things to me are like, okay, what's the significance of this now? But when you have the rise of artists, and shouts out to the young girl because she's doing her thing, Cardi B. Hey, she got some bad mouth to her. She's used to be a former stripper, but you know what? The American way is, make something out of nothing. Make
anyone can make it in America.
Lemonade to lemons to lemonade, right? Anyone can make it, so they say. So she has been boosted, but a long time ago, some years back, that would have never happened, right? You had the Lil' Kims, you had the Foxy Browns that was pushing it, but I don't know if Foxy Brown and Lil' Kim would have said, "Oh, we're dancers." They would have got elevated, right?
Yeah.
It was like bosses, to be honest with you. But before, women who was stripping in clubs were like looked at as like, "Oh, you're a whore, you're a slut," even though they might not have been.
Yeah.
But that was the perception and reality. So here we are in this place where you're saying, do we need saving? I say you're goddamn right. Some folks do need saving, and that could have been what might have saved 59 folks if there was some type of intervention. But again, if they want to keep on spinning, this white guy was this good, quiet, noble dude, and if they want to continue to spin that there was nobody else, here's a guy we're going to focus on, because they don't want to start creating that frantic state of mind for individuals who still live in Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going to be putting ourselves in a position. We're waiting for the next thing to happen.
Okay, so then is this becomes something that the people police, or is this something? And why I say that is because if left to the government to make all these changes, to do all the policing and the saving folks from themselves, what that regulation looks like will be the Matrix.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So is that something that as a society, are we in any kind of position with the fragmented society we have, all the division socially, economically, the class systems and issues and problems, are we in any position to try to say, okay, this is the behavior that we're all going to do, that we don't need laws to change, that we just going to start acting right? You know what I mean?
We're not. It goes way, way, way. There's so much bullshit going on right now, and it's chaos. Like, we literally have chaos. And where we used to have some type of calm, even if you didn't agree with the politics of it, it seemed like they were doing whatever was best for business.
Yeah.
And now, in our political nature, which is really making people wake up to the reality of, like, this shit has all been fraud from day one, and I'm happy that they realize that. When you got a clown as your president, so you're seeking some type of leadership, and you're going over there and you're like, wow, damn, we have a clown. Because even though a majority, even George Bush Jr., even though he was a big clown, he didn't say off top thing. He would say some dumb shit.
Yeah, he trusted the process. He used the advisors and the cabinet and all that. You could tell the difference of when he said some off the cuff shit versus when he kept it in the pocket.
Oh,
he was like Peyton Manning. He just trusted his protection. He stayed in the pocket, and all them folks around him made him look much better than he was.
With this guy, he's getting heat from people in Puerto Rico. He talks crazy about the mayor.
Throwing
and then he goes in there
paper towels,
and maybe if it wasn't all the stuff leading up to it, that we'd look at it different, because I don't really see it that being that much of a big deal, but it is because of all of the stuff that preceded it, from the kneeling incident, from the talking bad about the mayor and the people, from still with this border thing, from the ban, from the Dreamers thing, and then here you are, pompous, arrogant, rich white guy coming in like you're the savior, and you're shooting up paper towels as if you're playing basketball and you're Larry Bird.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, because some people might not have seen the footage, he finally made his trip to Puerto Rico and in case you're not aware of this too, Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
U.S. territory.
So just because there's a lot of people who like, well, that's them and they should take care of themselves. No, they're a part of the United States.
And again, that's the ignorance of what our society is. So in some rationale, I get that this tragedy in Vegas is what it is, but I'm not going to all of a sudden soak myself into this shit when a majority of Americans don't care about nothing else. Like you just said, exactly. They don't even know that Puerto Rico is one of our U.S. territories. Basically, that is
it's the East Coast Hawaii.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's
so it's all a part of the regime. Go ahead.
Well, but because I've heard that too. Well, why are we responsible for taking care of them? They should take care of themselves. That's like saying Kansas should take care of itself.
Yeah.
Or Oregon should take care of itself. Yeah. They're one of us. And you got a bunch of people who are sitting underwater, who are drowning, who are dehydrated, who are sick, who are hurt. And the president goes over there and he's throwing individual, like single thing, like bounty, one roll, paper towels. He's just shooting free throws into a crowd of people indiscriminately, talking about, I'm dropping off supplies. Like, just thinking it's cute, thinking it's funny to a bunch of people who it's fourth and long. Like people who hadn't been getting fresh water in days, who are resulting to drinking water, willing to risk it all on some water that they know is not good for them, but they'll deal with the bacteria and the sickness as opposed to dying of dehydration. Yeah. Like that's fourth and long. Like that's when you're looking at the urine that you peed into a container and you like, if I close my eyes, it's warm beer. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's fourth and long.
I wonder how fast the president would have got there if Vegas didn't happen. Or do you think he was already planning on going out there?
I don't think that, if anything, you think he would have been there quicker?
No, I'm just thinking like, it seems like he's going to go to Vegas and on tomorrow, Wednesday. By the time this podcast comes on, he went to Vegas. He's in Puerto Rico. The thing happened in Vegas. It happened on Sunday night. So was he even planning on getting to Puerto Rico? Was that like a plan, since we haven't really heard anything?
I think what it is he waits until, similar to Houston, like, let the storm happen first. We're
not particularly talking about the storm that hits, but the other storm.
Let the wave go through, because I don't want to get out there while people are in the middle of something, hitting me with all this question. Let's let that first wave go through. Let's let it start to subside, and let people start to recover a little bit. Then let me show up, because I'm gonna be there after the last everything shows. Because he wasn't coming to Puerto Rico before them planes left, because they were having those issues with all these supplies still stuck at the docks. There was no way he was touching down in Puerto Rico before those shipments started moving, because the last thing he's gonna do is show up empty-handed.
Yeah.
So he was not moving nowhere until all that stuff made its way over.
It's just overall everything, living in a society, living in these times that you think we went past and we got past. When you're getting up, you're getting older, you're thinking, oh, that stuff only happens over there. It happens in foreign lands because you see it all the time.
Yeah.
And looking at race the way it is. Nah, we've moved past that. You know, the dream speech and all these other different things. And now in this moment where we're really looking at this in a scope where we understand the lies, Facebook admitting to having these, we're selling 3,000 ads to Russia.
To put up their ads during the course of the election, yeah.
And have disparaging marks and ads that they did for against Black Lives Matters or just black activists, you know, and I would fall into that part as well. Just hearing those things and trying to figure out, well, why did he come out and tell the truth? The CEO, the founder of it, like what pushed him to tell the truth? What did they have on him for him to come in? And that being a news story, but then here comes this Vegas thing, and now we're not even talking about that.
500 million people are on Facebook. That's a lot of influence.
That's very much so.
And so when you start looking at these types of things, like there's a bunch of different stuff that's happening in this world. And left, right, and left again. I always say beware the Kansas City Shuffle, where they make you look left while they're going right.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways to get people to comply is to tell them that you're doing this for their own good.
Yes.
That I'm trying to save you from yourself. That don't worry about it. Don't think about it. I'm going to think for you. Don't do this. I'm going to do for you. Don't worry. I'm going to worry for you.
But in a sense of being there, you asked me the question, do people need saving? I really do believe a lot of us do need saving. But the reality is, tell the truth on why we have to do it, compared to telling us a lie, right?
Yeah.
And that's always been the issue of when they've come to save us. The 3-strike law was supposed to save us from these guys that got out of prison and were felons, and you know they could maybe possibly do another crime again. But who did it hurt? It affected black folks. You know what I mean? You show the white image of this guy that kidnapped this white girl, and oh my God! But the Negroes paid the heaviest penalty for that. So, yes, there's some folks that need saving, but let's be correct on how we are dealing with that and how do we manage that. Not allowing folks to fall underneath the fucking door and be used and abused by a system that we know is designed and created to oppress folks. So that is my take on that. But it's a lot of stuff going on, man, that it needs to be addressed, and you definitely need to say something on it.
Yes, because these things are definitely important. And as we look at all these different things going on in life, as you're working about whatever's going on in your struggle, the stuff that you're worried about, people who are doing something for your own good, where the source comes from is always important to remember. What's their track record? And when somebody typically presents you with something that sounds too good to be true, I can make all your problems go away. I can make all these problems never happen again. I got all the magical solutions, the amazing carpet cleaner that can take out any stain that's ever on that you ever spill. Typically when people try to present you something that's too good to be true, usually it's because it is. So when these things that are going on out here in the world, these things that are plaguing us, these things that are perplexing us, these things that we just worry about, or when we tuck our kids in extra tight because we're fearful of what tomorrow may bring them, they don't go away if we don't address them, that if we don't work to fix them, and that all begins by saying something.
Well, definitely.
I'm Jermaine Morris with Mr. Barry Accius. Where can folks find you online, sir?
Barry Accius Facebook, Barry Accius Twitter, Instagram at Team Voy, and blackblueprints.com with a Z.
I'm Jermaine Morris on Facebook, at J Morris on every other social media platform. You can also hear this podcast on SoundCloud.com as well as on iTunes. There's the Twitter for the podcast, that's at We Say Something, and the email is saysomethingpodcast@gmail.com. If you haven't got enough of hearing our voices, you get to see our faces this week. This Friday night at 11 p.m. on accesssacramento.org or Channel 18 if you're on any of the cables that for the greater Sacramento region. Myself and Barry will be on the show Searching for More. Little shout out to the brothers over there, to Jamie and Nahesu. They've invited us back. We'll be talking about other stuff going on out here in the life in the streets, and you get to see our darling faces.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jermaine Morris with Barry Accius. This is the Say Something podcast.
Peace, family.
And until next show, we'll holler at you later.
Yes, sir.